Blessed is he who in the prime of his youth and the heyday of his life will arise to serve the cause of the Lord of the beginning and of the end, and adorn his heart with his love. The manifestation of such a grace is greater than the creation of the heavens and of the earth. Blessed are the steadfast, and well is it with those who are firm. Baha'u'llah.
Thank you. Today, we're happy to have Ms. Bita Parhami as our speaker, and she'll be talking about how are Baha'i youth changing the world. Bita is a 17-year-old youth and senior in high school. She's interested in studying business or law in college. Bita enjoys serving her community by participating in activities with other youth in both school and in the Baha'i community, and by providing food to homeless shelters every week. She's the founder of the International Affairs Society at her school, a club that discusses current issues like diplomacy, environmental issues, and human rights. She's also the president of Mock Trial. So with that, I'll hand it off to Bita.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me today. Today I'm going to be discussing how Baha'i youth are changing the world. So first of all, for those of you who are new to hearing about the Baha'i faith, Baha'is believe that all of humanity belongs to a single family, and that the essential spiritual truths underlying all of the major religions are one, and that God reveals these truths to humanity over time according to the capacity of that age, through the great spiritual teachers that we call prophets or manifestations of God. In thousands of places around the world, the teachings of the Baha'i faith inspire individuals and communities as they work to improve their own lives and contribute to the advancement of civilization. Baha'i beliefs address essential themes, and some of these themes are oneness of God and religion, the oneness of humanity and freedom from prejudice, the inherent nobility of the human being, the progressive revelation of religious truth, the development of spiritual qualities, the integration of worship and service, the fundamental equality of men and women, and the harmony between religion and science, the centrality of justice to all human endeavors, the importance of education, and the dynamics of the relationships that bind together individuals, communities, and institutions as humanity advances towards its collective maturity. The prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah, affirmed that the purpose of our lives is to know God and to attain his presence. Our true identity is our rational soul, whose free will and powers of understanding enable us to continually better ourselves and to better our society. Walking a path of service to God and to humanity gives life meaning and prepares us for the moment our soul separates from the body and continues on its eternal journey towards its maker. Baha'i youth have a special role in building the new world. As a 17-year-old youth myself, I want to talk today about some of the ways my generation is working toward that. So first, I wanted to read a section of a letter from the Universal House of Justice, which is the global administrative body of the Baha'i faith, entitled, "To the Baha'i Youth in Every Land." The House of Justice wrote, "For any person, whether Baha'i or not, his youthful years are those in which he will make many decisions which will set the course of his life. In these years, he's most likely to choose his life's work, complete his education, begin to earn his own living, marry, and start to raise his own family. Most important of all, it is during this period that the mind is most questing and that the spiritual values that will guide the person's future behavior are adopted. These factors present Baha'i youth with their greatest opportunities, their greatest challenges, and their greatest tests, opportunities to truly apprehend the teachings of their faith and to give them to their contemporaries, challenges to overcome the pressures of the world and to provide leadership for their and succeeding generations, and tests enabling them to exemplify in their lives the high moral standards set forth in the Baha'i writings. Indeed, the Guardian wrote of the Baha'i youth that it is they who can contribute so decisively to the fertility, the purity, and the driving force of the life of the Baha'i community, and upon whom must depend the future orientation of its destiny, and the complete unfoldment of the potentialities with which God has endowed it. 3 great fields of service lie open before young Baha'is, in which they will be simultaneously remaking the character of human society and preparing themselves for the work that they can undertake later in their lives. First, the foundation of all their other accomplishments is the study of the teachings, the spiritualization of their lives, and the forming of their characters in accordance with the standards of Baha'u'llah. As the moral standards of the people around us collapse and decay, whether of the century-old civilizations of the East, the more recent cultures of Christendom and Islam, or of the rapidly changing tribal societies of the world, the Baha'is must increasingly stand out as pillars of righteousness and forbearance. The life of a Baha'i will be characterized by truthfulness and decency. He will walk uprightly among all his fellow men, dependent upon none save God, yet linked by those bonds of love and brotherhood with all mankind. He will be entirely detached from loose standards, the decadent theories, the frenetic experimentation, the desperation of present-day society. Will look upon his neighbors with a bright and a friendly face, and be a beacon of light and a haven for all of those who would emulate his strength of character and assurance of soul. The second field of service, which is linked intimately with the first, is teaching the faith, particularly to their fellow youth, among whom some of the most open and seeking minds in the world. Not yet having acquired all of the responsibilities of a family or a long-established home and job, youth can the more easily choose where they live and where they'll study or work. In the world at large, young people travel hither and thither seeking amusement, education, and experiences. Baha'i youth, bearing the incomparable treasure of the Word of God for this day, can harness this mobility into service for mankind and can choose their places of residence, their areas of travel, and their types of work with the goal in mind of how they can best serve their faith. The third field of service is the preparation by youth for their later years. It is the obligation of a Baha'i to educate his children. Likewise, it's the duty of the children to acquire knowledge of the arts and the sciences and to learn a trade or a profession whereby they in turn can earn their living and support their families. This for Baha'i youth is in itself a service to God, a service, moreover, which can be combined with teaching the faith and often with pioneering. The Baha'i community will need men and women of many skills and qualifications. For as it grows in size, the sphere of its activities in the life of society will also increase and diversify. Let Baha'i youth, therefore, consider the best ways in which they can use and develop their native abilities for the service of mankind and the cause of God, whether this be as farmers, teachers, doctors, artisans, musicians, or any of the ones of multitudes of livelihoods that are open to them. So these words of the House's Justice really struck me because they paint a picture of the role of youth that is so different than what we see in the media today. Oftentimes, my generation is portrayed as self-centered or lazy, out of touch, and coddled. But the House of Justice sees the role of young people as completely opposite. Instead, young people are at the crossroads of an important moment in their life where they have the power to choose their destiny and to shake off the shackles of custom and instead blaze a new path. The power of young people today can be seen in the actions of the fearless youth of Iran who are fighting against great injustice and violence. Both of my parents moved to the US from Iran as teenagers about 43 years ago, fleeing religious persecution at the hands of the Islamic government after the Iranian Revolution of 1979. My mother is a Baha'i and my father is Jewish. But I've never been to Iran and my parents have never been back since. And now, in the wake of the Iranian struggle for freedom, I feel so proud of the Iranian youth, many my own age, fighting and sacrificing their lives for equality. This revolution is truly led by Gen Z because they are the fearless ones in pursuit of justice and freedom, and they have no problem sacrificing their own lives for their beliefs. Although I'm not able to directly participate in the events in Iran, I feel blessed by the opportunities available to me here in America and through the Baha'i community. At age 11, I joined a group of eager adolescents searching for ways to directly participate in their communities and impact it. It's called the Junior Youth Spiritual Empowerment Program, a Baha'i-inspired global program aimed at morally and spiritually empowering young people aged 11 to 14 through service to and participation in the discourses of society. Over the next few years, I spent my Friday afternoons volunteering with my peers, whether it be devoting time to listen to the life stories of an 83-year-old elderly lady in a nursing home, or gathering donations of 5,000 books to send to a struggling public library in Belize, or completing moral education curriculum. I've endeavored to uplift the lives of those around me. Youth have played a vital role in Baha'i history. The Bab, which is the forerunner of Baha'u'llah, declared his mission when he was only 25 years old, and so many among the band of his followers were in the prime of their youth when they embraced his revelation. During the ministries of Baha'u'llah and his son, Abdul Baha, young people were at the forefront of efforts to proclaim the message of the new faith and to share its teachings with others. But today, Baha'i youth are engaged in a variety of endeavors through which they serve society and in turn achieve both personal growth and enhance their capacity to contribute to social progress. Service to humanity is a service to God, Abdul Baha has stressed. Through directing their talents and abilities to the elevation of society, they become the cause of the tranquility of the world of creation. As they infuse their day-to-day lives and activities with a spirit of generous giving and offer voluntary acts for the well-being of others, they attract the assistance and confirmations of God. For example, in the days after the explosion that rocked Beirut in August 2020, a group of youth engaged in Baha'i community building efforts quickly met to make plans for assisting with relief and recovery. They created a volunteer network called the Helping Hub to coordinate the actions of people around them, an initiative that has evolved in subsequent months to respond to ongoing needs. And now we can show a short video about this Helping Hub initiative. So another example is the youth in Sierra Leone. Having been directly affected by the Ebola outbreak in 2014, and determined to help protect their community from the spread of COVID, young people in Sierra Leone created a film to help make information aware to the public about effective health measures made more accessible in their society. Another example is in the US. When the effects of COVID began causing disruptions to life in their neighborhood, a group of youth quickly turned their attention to the pressing needs arising from school closures. In a suburb of New York City, these youth have been studying and serving together in Baha'i activities that develop their capacity for service to society. When school closures were announced, the youth contacted the Board of Education and spoke to various vendors in the area who agreed to donate meals. These are just some photos as an example of the youth in New York City providing food for the people who are in more need, and it was a great help for the people who needed it at the time. And these efforts are just examples of the power of youth to create a new world. The Board of Education informed families, and they were able to pick up the hot meals the next day, as seen in the photos. This gave children access to good food at home while also minimizing contact. The actions of the group caught the attention of city officials. On the second day of school closures, the arrangements they had set up was adopted as an official food distribution point staffed by the state's National Guard. One of the pivotal concepts in the Baha'i teachings is that the refinement of one's inner character and service to humanity are inseparable facets of life. Shoghi Effendi, the great-grandson of Baha'u'llah, stated, "We cannot segregate the human heart from the environment outside us and say that once one of these is reformed, everything will be improved. Man is organic with the world. His inner life molds the environment and is itself also deeply affected by it. The one acts upon the other, and every abiding change in the life of man is the result of these mutual reactions." So, in light of this, Baha'is have come to appreciate the operation of a twofold purpose that's fundamental to their lives: to attend to their own spiritual and intellectual growth, and to contribute to the transformation of society. This twofold purpose helps to shape the endeavors of Baha'is in all areas. For example, we're not only expected to pray and reflect in our own personal lives, but we're also supposed to make efforts to infuse our surroundings with a devotional spirit. We're asked not only to deepen our own knowledge of the faith, but also to share it with others. And we're not only admonished to learn to resist the dictates of our ego in our own lives, but also to strive with courage and humility to reverse the tendencies of a culture that glorifies self-gratification and erodes the foundations of solidarity. So youth are really at the forefront of these efforts. And I hope that I can continue to serve humanity with the support of my friends, my family, and my community. So thank you all so much for listening, and I'd love to hear any questions that anybody might have for me.
Thank you, Bita, for sharing your thoughts. So if anyone has questions now, you can put it in the chat. I'll start us off. So how do you think that we can help empower youth to kind of take on this role as trailblazers, as, kind of at the forefront of social change? How do you think we can help youth realize that role?
Yeah, so at least for me in my own experience, I think it's most beneficial to like get youth empowered in their community when it's really more individual. I think that service or community-based efforts that youth take on needs to be individual to their own interests. So I think talking to the youth and really figuring out what works best for them, what kind of service they're interested in, I think that's the best choice because it's always about the individual themselves because they can best serve in a field that they're most passionate about.
The next question is, Dear Bita, thanks for such an inspiring presentation. What are your thoughts on how adults can encourage and support youth as they serve without potentially coming across as domineering or controlling?
Yeah, I feel like I have like some sort of say in this because I've definitely felt that. Sometimes it can feel like adults are just trying to like guide you in a way that they think is best. But I mean, it again goes back to what I was saying. I think it's important to like think about the individual themselves and their own passions and really talk to them. Like as a parent, I think it's important to your own child. Maybe if you don't know everything, talk to them about it. Like, what are you interested in doing in school? How do you help serve in that aspect? And if they have interests that could help serve their community, not just in a school-based environment, really work with them and try to empower them to join activities that they find interesting, not just, general activities that you think they should do or something like that. I think it's really important for them to decide what they want to do.
What does involving and empowering youth in activities look like for you in your day-to-day life? So how do you reach youth and a company on this journey?
Well, for me, I mean, I guess starting just in like, for example, my own school environment, I lead a club um, called Mock Trial and another club that I created. And I have to work with young kids, like 14-year-olds every day. And it's hard for me to try to get them empowered in what they're doing because we help do service projects and things like that. And I think something to get the kids motivated and empowered for them to serve that I've had personal experience in is seeing what they like, getting their ideas. I really love to like talk to the kids and the youth because it's really important, like at least for me, to get to know who I'm like working with and things like that, whether it be in like junior youth, which is like a community-based service endeavor, or like I said in school. For me personally, I just make sure I like talk to them and get to know them, to know what how they want to help all of us in our group because we work together in like collaborative efforts. So yeah, I really like to just talk to them and get to know what they want to do.
Thank you. And so in your day-to-day life, what are some examples of some ways that you're serving?
So in my day-to-day life, I twice a week I give food to homeless shelters from Panera Bread. So like we pick up leftover food that they would otherwise throw away every night. And we pick that up and give them to different homeless shelters, for example, like Catholic charities. And yeah, I mean, it's a great help and they really appreciate it. We've heard like a lot. So I'm really glad that I'm able to do that. Something else I do is I really, we have this club called Girl Up in our school that I'm also involved with. And we run drives to get products for women and who are in like unfortunate needs. And we collect these products from women all over Loudoun County and give them to different shelters that distribute it to women specifically. So that's like a great help. And I've done that a few times recently. So that's another example. Yeah, and it's really fulfilling to be able to do this and serve back to people in that way.
How can youth empower their peers to serve their communities when youth are increasingly turned off from religion?
I think it's important to first start off with just talking to them about the service and not the religion part of it, because yeah, some people can be turned off by that. But engaging in first service and making it exciting, like we're gonna go, because every youth likes helping people. That's just something everyone can relate with. So just to talk to your friends and explain, like, yeah, this is like an opportunity for us to help so and so and to raise money for this organization. And I know a lot of youth, we like doing that. We like helping people and being engaged in our communities because everyone wants to have a voice as a youth. And through this, they can learn the spiritual qualities that are coming out of the service they're doing and realizing that they are taking on these qualities without even realizing it. So that's what I would say.
As youth, how should we encourage our friends to join us in service and contributing to our communities?
I mean, for me, the way I get my friends and like peers to help me and serve for themselves as well in the community, um, like I was saying, I try to make it like a really interesting topic. And because since I'm so passionate about it, when I talk with passion, they get interested and they're like, oh, well, what's this about? So I think telling people a lot about what you're doing and making it seem as exciting as it is, they get interested in it um, from that alone. So talking is like a major thing, just talking to them about it, inviting them to a lot of different types of service. It all starts by leading with example. So how you portray like service is how they will see it. So if you make it seem exciting and fulfilling, then they'll eventually want to start following. You just have to talk to them a lot about it.
How do you handle the negative influences in society that are so prevalent today, and especially via social media?
Yeah, social media especially can be um, a hardship and like kind of like reversing all the like um, progress that can be made in terms of like a negative way. So I think a way to like combat that and sort of ignore that is to just, like I said, like ignore it. Like any, there's a lot of social pressures that arise in today's like society. It's like it's really important to just focus on the path you're going on, to ignore all the like, well, religion's not that popular or you shouldn't be doing this. And a lot of people just try to talk. And I think really it's really important to just again focus on your own path and try to get as many people involved as you can and to just try to like again lead by example. Don't let that affect you personally.
Thanks, Bita. Your dedication is so empowering and inspiring. How do you read the reality of the world situation in terms of its prospects and future? And how does the Baha'i Faith's dark outlook in the closer future, yet ultimate, more fulfilling and bright distant future, affect your service and motivation to work for the betterment of the world?
Um, so for me, when I think about what I'm doing and the service I'm doing, I think about the long-term effects. And short-term effects are really important. That's what gets me going on to the next project and moving on. But long-term effects in terms of the Baha'i world, like how this is just one step in bettering all of society because what you do impacts what other people start joining in on doing. And I think looking at the like overall view of what Baha'is aim to accomplish with all this service to better humanity and better the world, that's what I keep in mind as I'm moving forward in my pursuits because young people are the ones who can make the difference now. They have so much power and voice that a lot of people don't even realize. So, yeah, I don't know if that answered the question, but that's how I see it.
What do you say to fellow youth who may be wasting their time on purely political activism?
Um, so I mean, political activism, it's important to, take a stand in some respects, but you have to have multiple like horizons of like um service and like try not to focus directly on issues that, can be seen as like controversial or like, could deplete the main reason that you're having this service. If everything goes peacefully and that would be great to keep everything peaceful and everything like that. But I think it's important to also have different, arenas of service to not just focus on certain aspects like that, maybe to just do things that better your community rather than these large issues that seem so hard to like really make an impact on. So yeah, maybe just focus on things that are more accessible to you instead of things that are government regulated and you can't really control as much, which it's still important to have a belief and a say, but try to focus on things that are more hands-on.
Do you think that, young people and Gen Z, do you think that they naturally have like less prejudice or they have a more open-minded outlook on the world?
Honestly, I really do think so because at least for me, I feel like everybody around me is way more open-minded than some other generations might be, just because I think we're so used to seeing all these like all the violence in the world and all the injustices, and we are at the forefront. We have social media now, so we know everything that's going on, and we're so aware to the point where we know we want to make differences. So that's why I think it's really important that this generation, like my generation, we do something about it, about all these injustices that are happening. Because yeah, we know everything that's going on. I think social media is a big thing. Like other generations didn't necessarily grow up with seeing everything that's happening in the world, but we're so aware of everything that yeah, I mean, we have more open minds because we see what's going wrong.
So in that sense, do you think social media can be a positive, or it can be used as a positive thing because it allows people to kind of be connected and aware of people in other parts of the world?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, social media does have its negative aspects, like we talked about earlier, but I really think it can be used as like a tool almost, because it's just so beneficial to spread word about everything that's happening in the world. Like, for example, with this whole Iranian injustice and striving for freedom and equality between women and men. Um, Everyone is able to find out everything they would need to know about it through social media. I mean, it's getting spread every day. I'm looking on my phone and I just see more posts about it, getting people aware, getting people ready to take action, to donate, everything like that. I think social media can be used as a great tool and an outlet for support and help for other places in the world. Really, it's actually really cool that you can like see what's going on in the world.
How do we get youth to agree on a single vision for action when everyone often has very different beliefs and ideas?
Um, I think that people do have their different beliefs, but really, I think discussion is so important because you can't just have one person create an idea for service and for something that they're aiming to accomplish without, the voice of other people. So if you're working alongside other individuals, it's really important to just discuss firsthand, like, what do we want to accomplish? What's our like overarching goal? Um, and then that's when you can start discussing more intricate details like, well, you believe this, I believe that. But I think discussion is just so important, consultation, um, in order to come to a consensus that everybody agrees on.
Do you think in today's climate, it's, harder to actually have a real consultation because it seems like everyone is just stuck on a specific point of view and they're kind of talking at each other rather than listening? Have you found that?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a common misconception, actually, that people are more combative these days and everybody's too firm in their own beliefs. Because in my own personal experience, whenever I'm with a lot of youth and we're all discussing, it's never like that. I think everybody has sort of an open mind, even those who don't, who are they're more closed in on their own ideas. I think just listening to other people, yeah, I think it's a common misconception that everyone's too stuck with their own beliefs and they won't talk to anybody about it. I think everyone's willing to listen to have some sort of change. Um, yeah.
How do you think we can get, intergenerational support and action? Like, how do you think young people and people in different older generations can work together?
Well, also, I think it's the people within the older generations that can actually make the hands-on like decisions and like in regards with the government, for example, it's not young people really. It's just a lot of the more older and more mature generations. So I think they're working together would be, the youth are they're making the awareness to the world, they're getting things out there and they're starting the conversations that nobody wants to talk about. And I think it's the responsibility of the adults to listen and to make the decisions based on that. And I mean, it doesn't always happen, but I think that's the best way they can work together is for adults, not just in government, I mean in normal society. Like adults are the ones who can make the more hands-on like decisions and impacts in that sense, where the younger people make the more social impacts. And I think they go hand in hand. They definitely have to work together to make differences.
So you've talked a lot about having conversations and discussions. So what's one way that you go into a conversation to make space for the other person and strive for a unified understanding of reality?
So, I mean, a good way to have discussion without everybody just barging in and giving their own opinions is having like reserved time for each idea. So if I were the one who was like mediating the conversation, just to start it off with a broad idea. And I say, okay, well, what's everybody's opinions on this? Maybe some people can, raise their finger to talk, and then they give their opinions, vice versa. People go in circles, people talk about it. It's really important to have organized discussion, just so that, people don't start talking over each other, and, fights don't happen, arguments. Not that it necessarily would, but it does happen sometimes. So yeah, I mean, organized discussion is great. Like having one person be the mediator and being the organizer, and then everybody else just following along with that, giving their own opinions by just, raising their hand, giving input, stuff like that.
What is the difference between millennials and Gen Z? And is there a difference in their opinions, attitudes, and feelings? Do youth feel empowered, or is it only through the Junior Youth Spiritual Empowerment Program and service that helps them perceive their potential?
Well, I mean, not all youth are in the Junior Youth Spiritual Empowerment Program or are doing service. A lot of youths just try to make a difference by talking about it with people because they don't really know what they can do. They don't know their potential. So, yeah, but back to the millennials and Gen Z, I think they're very similar in a respect. Like, they're both young. Gen Z are like the more up and coming generation of like young people, but like the millennials are the ones who are like, they're old enough to make changes, but they're young enough to have a new outlook on life and a fresh take in a sense. So I think that it's really important for them to actually work together, millennials and Gen Z, for millennials to act as sort of like a guide or a mentor to these younger people, and helping them be able to take on harder roles later when they're older, and to work while they're younger. I just think it's important for them to work hand in hand. They're really similar, I think.
Okay, I'll end with one last question. So if you could say one thing to your peers or to youth to kind of inspire them, what would it be?
I guess I would tell them, you don't think you have much of an impact on your life, on your community and your society, but you have more of an impact than you'll think. Just to get out there and start involving yourself in things, in service, in like advancement of civilization. Involve yourself in those types of endeavors, and you will see that you will have an impact. So just know that you have more capacity than you think.
Okay, well, thank you, Bita. That was really interesting and really good discussion. So thanks everyone also for your questions.
Thank you.
So our speaker next week is Mr. Henrique Buste, and his topic is how obedience to the universal laws is true liberty. And again, these are every Saturday at noon Eastern time, and I've put the link to our contact form in the chat. And we'll end with a Baha'i prayer.
Oh God, guide me, protect me, make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star. Oh God, guide me, protect me, make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star.
I was given my name and placed in this family, told what to think in this life that they've handed me. They say they're right, but deep down I know that they are wrong. So I gotta stay strong and keep holding on. But it's hard when it feels like I've got no voice. I'm treated like a child, so I've got no choice but to turn to my friends who make me one of them. The pressure never ends. Oh God,
oh God, guide me, protect me, make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star. Oh God, guide me, protect me, make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star.
I know these are mistakes that I don't really need to make, cause it's in my own hands to shape my own fate. But I feel like I'm lost when the teacher try to teach me, preacher try to preach me, but only you can reach me. I know you're always there, I know you've always cared, cause 'cause I can feel that there is hope, but my vision is impaired by the clouds that have found me as darkness surrounds me. Oh God, guide me.
Oh God, guide me, protect me, make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star. Oh God, guide me, protect me, make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star.
Make me a star, make me a lamp, ignite my heart, make it shine in this land. Oh my God, my life, my desire, I wanna spread love just like a wildfire. Make me a star, make me a lamp, ignite my heart, make it shine in this land. Oh my God, my life, my desire, I wanna spread love just like a wildfire.
Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Bye.